It looks like we are here. Hey everybody, thank you for waiting. I know I'm always a few minutes late on these live things. There's always some last minute technical problem. I wanted to make sure that I could have the comments up for later because I want to make sure I can answer any questions you have about the Ride 1 Up. But if you can see me and hear me clearly, just give me a thumbs up, say yes, thank you, we're all here, and we will jump right into the review. So I've got an iPad off to the side. I will grab that right here so I can answer any questions that you guys have. I'm just reading through. We got Bill, everyone wants that bike. We got a lot of hellos, heys. Hey Kyle, nice mic. I assume that means you can hear me. Is the bike from Indiegogo? No, but I did release a video on an Indiegogo bike yesterday. Thank you everybody for all of the thumbs up, and awesome, you just had your volume down. Glad you can hear me now. So awesome. This is the Ride 1 Up bike, and they are actually not that new. They've been around for a little while. They actually had reached out to me, I don't know, I think it was 2 years ago, about maybe reviewing one of their bikes when they were first getting started. And for whatever reason, I think if I recall what happened was they sold out of bikes and they didn't have one for me to review. And so it just kind of didn't happen. But this actually might have been one of the very first bike reviews if they wouldn't have run out of stock at that point in time. So in the meantime, they've developed a few more models. They're working on other new things, but they have what appear to be some decent quality bikes at very reasonable prices. So I had a good conversation with the owner of Ride 1 Up, and I liked what he was doing. So I said, hey, let's get a bike. Let's do a review on it. Let's check it out. And there may even be a possibility of Bolton e-bikes carrying some of the Ride 1 Up models as well, if I like how the review goes today. I've just very briefly ridden around the bike out in the parking lot. Thankfully, because of this live setup, we should be able to do that some more and check the bike out. And I don't see any specific questions about the bike yet, but let's go ahead and just jump into the details. This is the Ride 1 Up, like I said, 700 series. There's a little faint logo right there. They have a pretty nice head badge on the front. I like the way that that looks. But this is a city cruiser style of bike. It does have a front suspension fork. But this is something that's designed to ride just smooth, primarily on the road or hard-packed trails. This is not an off-road bike, which I know that I have a lot of big fat tire bikes. We brought on a couple of the Bike Tricks models, so we'd have a little more variety. And this is a potential model for something that's a little more street-oriented as well. And this is a 750 watt hub motor. We'll jump back to the performance in a bit. The battery that comes on this bike is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour. So same size you would find on, a Rad Power bike or a lot of other brands. And we have an adjustable stem here. Oh, and price point, I should mention that up front, is somebody already posted it in the comments, e-bike escape. He's got a YouTube channel too, but $1,595, about 1,600 bucks. So you're right in that 1,500 plus ballpark where there are quite a few e-bike options and the market is kind of flooded. There's a lot of confusion on which bike is best in that price range. We've got, like I already mentioned, some of the Rad Power bikes. You've got Hemiway. You've got Electric XP, a little bit lower than that on the price scale. But I think this has a couple of things that the other $1,500 bikes don't. I already mentioned the battery size being a 14 amp hour, motor 750 watts. I'll write it again in this video and give you a second opinion, but so far it feels pretty good. The things that are a little extra or things you don't normally get. Let's see if I can move the bike here. But you actually have their Tektro, but they're hydraulic brakes on this bike. So that is a big plus because most of the $1,500 bikes are going with mechanical brakes, but these ones are hydraulic. So that is awesome. And then the second thing that is, to me, better than average is the display. Well, I can't quite get my fingernail underneath it, but there is a screen protector, so it's a little hard to see. The display's not very big, but it's color, and it looks very similar to some of the KT brand displays as far as the lighting on it, which are pretty easy to see in the sun. So first off, I'm just seeing, okay, if this is a good 750 watt motor, we've got hydraulic brakes, we've got a color display, so far this is looking pretty good. And I also have to say, this is just an observance, I think the style of the bike and the frame looks very clean and well made. Sometimes you get a generic looking frame, but this one looks nicely done. Something that most people don't notice, I've had one person who saw it on the Bolton e-bikes Blackbird, is that we had the new frames made to where most of the welds are perfectly smooth and seamless all around the bike. And the Blackbird obviously is a much more expensive model, but this frame has a lot of those features, which is pretty cool. So a small, subtle difference, but I think somebody took some extra care in making this frame look really nice. And then of course we have the usual accessories, you know, headlight, which is wired in. The tail light is wired in as well. And let's see if we can figure out how to turn the headlight on here. There we go. And it's it's a running tail light. It's not an actual brake light, but it is a running tail light. There we go. But you've got lights, you got fenders, there's a rear rack. All of those things come standard, and I like to see that more and more often. I think they should come standard on most bikes, and that's something we're trying to do on all of ours. And then there's some parts that are just fairly generic, you know, the cranks, the saddle, nothing too special there. It's using a 8-speed Shimano shifter setup, Shimano Acera, which is, you know, budget end components, but for an e-bike in this price range, they're perfectly fine. They're reliable, they're simple, easy to get replacement parts for. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So my first impressions of the bike are that it looks pretty good. Let me grab my iPad again and see if you guys have any other questions on this before we take it for a little spin and see what the performance is like. Somebody says checking all the boxes, welds, any suspension. Yes, it does have front suspension. Weight is a good question. Maybe if Jessica's still watching, I saw her, I think, in the comments once as Bolton e-bikes. She's in there. Maybe she can find that. I don't know what the weight is, other than it's definitely going to be lighter than a lot of the fat bikes, of course, on the market. Let's see, Paul's saying 700 some watt hours. He's saying at full power you'd have less than an hour of range. Technically, yeah, that's true, but to actually use 750 watts on an e-bike continuously like that, you'd have to be like going up a hill the entire time. And you also might be doing like somewhere between 15 to 20 miles an hour. So if you're okay with 15 miles uphill, full throttle, no pedaling, that's actually pretty good. So in theory, yes, that makes sense, but in practice, you're actually not drawing that much power most of the time. Thanks, E-Bike Escape. He posted it 62 pounds. So it probably could be lighter. You know, if you go spend more money on a Specialized or a Giant or some other brand of bike that has a similar look, they might come in the 40-pound range or even 30-something. But they're going to have less power, smaller battery, and they're going to cost 2 or 3 times as much. So 62 pounds is about what I would expect for something like this. Jerry is asking about the availability, and last I talked to the owner of Ride One Up when we discussed sending this bike here, so just within the past few weeks, they had a lot of bikes in stock, just ready to go. A warehouse that's not too terribly far from Northern California here, so it was pretty quick to get this one here, and it looks like, based on their website, most of the models are still in stock. I think they might have one new one that's kind of up and coming that's not out yet. But everything that's listed on their website as in stock, from my experience so far, has been pretty quick. John, to answer your question about the geared hub motor or brushless, the answer is yes to both of those. This is a geared hub motor, and yes, it is brushless. That is pretty standard on e-bikes these days. That's what you would expect to find. Oh yes, and a comment on the tires. I was about to mention that, but very good point. These are Schwalbe brand tires, which in my opinion are really nice. They've always worked very well in any e-bikes or bicycles I've seen them on. I've seen somebody switch to this brand of tires specifically. I've used them in some high performance applications and other things because they last really well. So the tires are not cheap, low quality, just budget tires. They're actually really good. The suspension fork, I would say, is more along the lines of the budget types of suspension forks. Nothing fancy. It has a lockout basically, and that's it as far as adjustment. So, but this is not, like I said, an off-road bike. This is a commuter style street bike. Good save there. This is live. Anything can happen, right? That's what happens when you put the kickstand over in the gravel. Got some comments about the weight capacity. I don't know. I'll trust that your comments in there are correct. Yes, the battery is removable. There is a lever on the bottom, and then there's keys on here. So real easy to pop the battery out, just like any other e-bike. The charge port is right on the side here. Really big plug on there. I've never seen one quite like that for the charge port, but that looks like it's perfectly functional, so why not? Yeah, don't scratch my bike. Who knows? We don't know who's going to win this bike. This is a giveaway bike. So after we're done with the review, we'll send out an email with details on how you can enter to win this, and those are completely random, open to people in the United States, and every one of these review bikes we've been giving away to somebody. There's the guys coming back, or a couple of them. All right, so torque sensor or cadence sensor. This is a cadence sensor. Probably not gonna find too many bikes with a torque sensor in this price range. So that's pretty much expected. Thank you. Paul says, nice grab, Kyle. I did save that. And yes, the steering stem is adjustable. Is there a charge port? It's a good question, which I did not see advertised anywhere that I can recall, and I can't find one. So I'm gonna say to the charge port question for a phone, the answer is no. If somebody knows of one hiding on here that I'm not aware of, let me know, but I do not see one. Can it climb a hill? Well, let's go find out. So I'm gonna set this down real quick here. So keep the discussion going amongst yourselves if you'd like, but let's take the bike we'll pull the charger box off of here just so I don't lose it, which the bike comes with a few tools, little manual, and a 2 amp charger. Pretty standard. That's what I would expect for something like this. So that's what's in the box on the back. Now this is the fun part where I get to ride the bike, and I'll do my best not to crash on camera. I don't think I've crashed in any of my videos yet. It's been a while anyway. So, button to turn on the display. Once again, it's color. Thumb throttle on the left-hand side. And the display, I know is going to be too hard to see on camera, but it gives me miles per hour, which is pretty big right in the center, so that's easy to see. There's a battery level that shows 100% right now, so we're fully charged. And we have, on the pedal assist settings, there's 5 settings. And then we have an odometer, max speed, average speed, riding time, like I said, the usual stuff. And then the top left, we have the wattage, so I can see how much power we're using while riding. And then we also have a trip meter. So, like I said, it seems very similar to some of the KT displays that we use as far as looks, but I'm not sure actually what brand or model of display this is. I can't see any part numbers that give me any indication, but it's small, you know, might be a little hard to see for some people, but maybe about the same size, I would say, as what the Bafang 500C that we use on the Foxbat and the Sabre bikes, actually. So very similar to that. So let's take it for a spin. Okay, so once again, 8 speeds. This is a cadence sensor, so this is, I'm right now in 0 on the pedal assist, so I'm not getting any help at all. And that's the one nice thing about a bike with strings like this. It rolls really easy. If you want a bike you could pedal around without having the motor on, something like this would be great. Some of the bigger fat bikes are heavier, you know, you got more power, but you need, so again, still on 0 pedal assist, I can pedal it up a hill, not as fun. Let's turn some power on. Okay, that picks up pretty quick. Turned it up to like a 2 and it didn't hesitate. So I'm gonna stop. And this is no pedaling, just gonna give it full throttle and see what it does. 800 plus watts. It's not instant torque. I think you can see that it took a little bit of time to get going. I think that might be a soft start setting because it feels like there's more power there, but it's not giving it to you right away. So just my thought, it might be a soft start just to ease the power on, but once it gets going, it feels pretty torquey. So I know I'm further away, but I'm gonna go out to the road since it's uphill. And let's see what this does. Okay, number 5. Shifting up. So the power's pretty decent. So it says set to a motor like this, when you have a narrower wheel, you're limited in the dropout as to how wide that motor can be. So some of these 750 watt hub motors that are for fat bikes are actually wider and you can get more torque out of them because of that. This is, I would say, right on par with any of the other 750 watt bikes that I've tested that use a narrower style of motor to fit into a narrower frame. So feels pretty good. I think this is plenty of power. Feels good. It feels right for a 750 watt bike. So could there be some 750 watt bikes that are more powerful? I mean, yes, some of them will peak even higher, you know, 1,000, 1,200 watts, getting right up to the 800 range, and it feels good for that. So I'm happy with the power. I don't see any issues with that. Shifting, brakes, everything felt right and smooth. I mean, I guess the consensus for me so far is I like it. I think for those that are looking for something that's not a fat bike, but want a decent amount of power, they want the rack and the fenders. I don't know if you can hear that helicopter, but it's really noisy. There he goes. But I like it. I think I'm going to seriously consider carrying these bikes as another affordable option. You may not be able to see them on camera, but that's what we get for living next to an airport, right? I should say working next to an airport, but sometimes I feel like I live here. All right, let's get back to your questions. Thumb throttle sold. All right, what do we got here? Any regen feature? That's going to be a no. This is a geared hub motor, which means that when you are coasting, it's just freewheeling. So there's no regen function on a bike like this. Is the battery proprietary? It's a good question. I'm not 100%. I'm going to have to pull the battery out and take a close look at it. There's a lot of batteries on the market. Is the motor noisy? No, I'm going to say no, it's not. It sounds like any other geared hub motor on a bicycle. You might hear a slight little whine when you get going at first, but for the most part, very, very quiet. I don't even know if you can hear it from this microphone or not. And Captain Dave, try living next to a military air station. We're going to get close to that soon because we do have a fire station here at the airport. It's an air attack base, they call it. And I saw an email the other week that says there's going to be a bunch of aircraft based here over the next several months for training purposes. So we're going to have constant flights in and out of firefighting traffic, so which is pretty cool. Hopefully you guys will see that in later videos. Brian asked if it's pedal start only. No, this is a pedal assist cadence sensor down here, and there is a thumb throttle right here. So if we lean the bike over and not crash it, so you can see I can just hit the throttle and off it goes. I don't know what the top speed of the bike is. If I'm going like this with just the throttle on, it definitely looks like there's a 20-mile-an-hour limit enabled, and I haven't looked into it further to see if it could be disabled. It feels like the motor has enough power. It probably would go more than 20 miles an hour. It just depends on if that electronic limit could be removed or not. Now we're going to wrap this up, but I want to make sure to answer any other questions. For the giveaway, it doesn't come with additional accessories. Oh, that was Jessica saying something, answering somebody else's question. Let's see, 28 miles per hour, class 3. So we'd have to figure out how to bump the speed limit up to make it a class 3, and then it shouldn't have a throttle that works with that. So I would call it a class 2 the way I'm looking at it, but if they advertise as a class 3, then they probably do have a way to remove that speed limit. In fact, like I said, I'm not familiar with this display, but I'm sure we can try and push a few buttons and see if there's any extra settings we can get to. Jessica, she's getting the link to enter the giveaway. Thank you. Oh yeah, display setting, advanced settings, power set, current limit. Okay, so this has some cool functions on the display. You can set the individual settings for each level of pedal assist. There is a current limit, which is at 18 amps. It won't go any higher. There is a slow start function. So I thought there was one enabled, and sure enough, that is one of the options. And then we have trip reset. We can change the units, tire size, speed limit, 20 miles an hour. There we go. So yes, we can change the speed limit from 20 up to 28. There's no password or anything needed. You just go into the settings and you can change it. So I just cranked it up to 28 miles an hour just because I might want to try that. All right, perfect. Well, that answers that. It is a Class 2 as shipped, but you can turn the speed up and pretend like you don't have a throttle would be the thing to do, I guess. Ordinary Human says, I ordered one, it arrived in less than a week. So yeah, as far as I know, they have lots of these in stock. Delivery time might vary based on where you're located, but that's pretty good. 18, and I don't know what you're saying there. We're removing the speed limit, void the warranty. That is a question for Ride 1 Up. I don't know if it does. I just voided my warranty live on camera. So there you go. So I might have to do a little more writing to determine for sure if, like I said, if I want to have some of these available. But my first impression is I like it. I'm not going to keep this bike as a demo because I promised I'd give it away. So if, oh, and Jessica's on there saying link will be ready in minutes. All right, you're going to have to say in the chat then, Jessica, do you want me to wait so we can put the link up in the chat right here? Or are we just going to say we're going to send out an email? Let me know what you want me to do. Hopefully she's still watching, but whatever. We'll find out. Just to answer questions that we may have missed, yes, the display's in color. Yes, the battery's removable. Colors. They have 2 colors on their website. Both are, I'm not going to say bland. I like them both. But very, very soft, subtle colors, no bright, loud, obnoxious anything. But there's 2 color options. You can see pictures of both on the Ride 1 Up website. And Jessica, I'm posting here and in email. Thank you. So watch in the chat, watch in the comment description of this video area for links to the giveaway for this bike. And if you're not on our email list, you can go to boltonebikes.com. You can sign up for our email list and you can get notified when live videos like this come out or regular YouTube videos. You can get notified when we have other giveaways going on. So if you're not on that email list, that is the guaranteed way to make sure you know when things like this are going on. George says, please send out an email. We will. We'll send out an email for the giveaway for this bike. Awesome. Well, I think that about covers it for the Ride 1 Up. Thanks everybody for being on this live video. If you're not subscribed to my channel for some reason and you are here watching, well, thank you for being here for one, but make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Also turn on that little notification bell. That way you know when live videos like these pop up and you can be on the chat. So once again, thank you. We are going to do more live videos like this one. It sounds like we got a few other bike companies lined up already. We're going to keep this format going. If you like it, just give me a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching. Hit that subscribe button. And for sure, I'll be releasing another video, recorded video, next Thursday. And we'll send out a notification when we got another one ready for a live. Which, now that I think about it, there's something really cool behind the camera that I'm going to record a video for. Maybe next week. Maybe I'll do a live for it as well. Let me know. Do you want me to do another live video next week on something that is 2 wheels, 1,000 watts, hydraulic brakes, and something I guarantee you have never seen on my channel before? If you want to see that, leave a comment below. Convince me to do another live video on that next week. I'm not going to give it away because I can't, it's already sold, but I do have something very unique behind the camera that I want to show off. So maybe we'll do a live video on that one as well. All right, we're cutting it. We're out of here. Where did I put my camera?